Love will guide us through the hard night.
Our opening words are by Rosemary Watola Tromer. It's like this. The sun itself is constantly moving through space, and yet it never leaves us. Add this to the list of marvels, like how a glass of water was once a cloud, like how love can grow in us despite sorrow, fear. Given such gifts, one must wonder how it is our arms aren't constantly raised in spontaneous praise for life. I know, and you know, why sometimes our hands stay down. But now, standing still together, even as we're spinning and racing through space, even if it's only just a whisper, when faced with the truth that great forces hold our lives in place, it feels right to say, thank you, thank you. Eyes lifting, heart trembling, the improbable earth so solid beneath our feet. Here we are gathered this morning on this improbable earth, in this spinning universe, together in this community here at the Unitarian Society of Santa Barbara, whether you are physically in our sanctuary or joining us online in our Zoom space. We are delighted to welcome you into this community together. I'm the Reverend Julia Hamilton, and I'm joined this morning by our worship associate, Peter Hale, by Matthew, our music director, Heather on the piano, by all of you who have chosen to spend this time together to nurture your spirit. We are a loving community of seekers who inspire action, nurture wonder, and strive to live with integrity in a complicated world. I'd like to extend a special welcome to any visitors we have joining us this morning. If you're here in person, please stay for coffee, tea, and conversation. We have a welcome table outside where you can find out more about this congregation. And if you're joining us online, there's a link to a connection card that will allow us to keep in touch with you about all that's going on here in this space, both in person and virtually. And feel free to stick around online afterward for a virtual coffee hour to get in touch with folks in our wider community. On the second Sunday of every month, we have a newcomer orientation. So the second Sunday of October, you can meet in the front office to get connected to some other new folks. And we are going to be offering a Path to Membership class at the end of October. You can sign up with Angie, our membership and outreach coordinator. And if you've been attending for a little while and think that this congregation might be your spiritual home, I would love to see you and get to know you at that class at the end of October. We have a lot going on here at the Unitarian Society, so I encourage you to read those Friday emails, and if you're not getting them, to go ahead and talk to the front office and make sure you're on our communications list. And I want to highlight a few things that are coming up. We are starting a shared values journaling group online for folks, whether you're here in person on Sundays, you can join online. Charla is going to be running that, and it's going to be exploring the shared values of Unitarian Universalism that were just re-articulated at our annual General Assembly this past June, and taking some time with a journaling practice to talk about what those values with love right there at the center mean to us in our lives. So ask any questions of Charla and join us online for the journaling class this fall. We're kicking off a new series of our Contemporary Issues Forum, exploring democracy this fall, a timely subject. The Alliance is starting up again the first Friday of the month. That means this Friday, I will be joining the Alliance and conversation about the congregation and our lives together. It would be lovely to see you all. Are welcome at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and they have great snacks if you've never been to the Alliance. The Earth Advocates are up and running. They'll be meeting after services on the first Sunday of the month. So there is lots of ways to get connected to this congregation. And of course, coming up in October as well, the highlight of our social year, our annual services auction. This is a great party, an opportunity to get together in a festive way with each other and to bid on things that you provide that kind of flesh out our social calendar all year round, and bring out all kinds of talents and hidden talents in the congregation is really what the auction reveals. So now is the time to get in your ideas for what you might host or donate so that we can bid on it at the party in October. You can see the auction table outside. Whew, the fall is here, isn't it? I invite you now to take a breath, to settle yourself here in this space or wherever you are, to allow yourself to become fully present to this moment, this community, as we ring our bell and let the sound connect us.
If you would like to join in participating in our chalice lighting from home, please write "The chalice is lit" along with your street name in the chat box. We kindle our chalice this morning to remind ourselves there is more to life than the events of the day. We live with a whole world of wonder inside that guides us, inspires us, and binds us together in common spirit. Every week, we highlight one good thing that's happened recently. Could be in general, or it could be a personal thing. And I have to admit that I was at a loss this week for something appropriate to share, until Julia reminded me that this morning we will be blessing the backpacks. Here's mine. This is a magical backpack. You can put endless amounts of things in it, and it retains its same size, carry-on size. It's taught me to live with less. My wife Donis and I spent 2 months traveling in Greece earlier this year, and this was all I brought. A carry-on held everything I needed for the whole time. The supreme test came when we were flying home. Approaching the security check-in, I remembered that I had 2 bottles of wine in the backpack that were going to get confiscated. I ran down to the ticket counter, carefully wrapped the bottles as best I could, and checked my pack through with little expectation that they would arrive, the bottles of wine would arrive in one piece. But the stars were aligned in my favor. They made it. Athens to San Francisco in one piece. So I am putting my backpack forward as a very good thing and have it blessed this morning along with all the others.
Please rise and bow to your spirit as we sing hymn number 1064, Blue Boat Home. Oh, below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean. Still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun, my sail, and moon, my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, lifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on. Greet the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
As Charlotte comes up here, I just want to say that whenever we sing this song, it's almost impossible to not sway a little bit. And I want to say it's like looking out at a little rolling ship full of people on deck. Give in to that. Don't fight it. Just sway along with the music. It's beautiful.
Come on over. Do we have it? I see some children out there. Come on up. And if you brought your backpack, kiddos, the rest of you will get an opportunity to come up too. But let's have the kids come up. If you brought your backpack, bring it on up. If you didn't, that's okay. We're still going to bless your backpack from afar. So come on up. I see you, Leo. Lead the charge. Come on up. All right. You can keep Peter company up here. Here come a couple more folks. I'm going to invite you up in a minute, Chuck. Oh, well. Some people are children at heart all the time. So many of us carry bags with us throughout the week for lots of reasons. And I'm going to ask you to either lift up your bag or raise your hand if you hear a reason that you carry a bag with you during the week. So some of us carry books and homework to and from school. Who does that? Raise your hands. Yeah, okay. Great, yeah, a few people out there. Some of us carry our lunches to school or work or to places we volunteer. Anybody carry their lunch in a bag? I know I do. Some of us carry computers and other supplies to the places we learn or work, or volunteer. Some of us, some kids carry overnight bags to a family member's or friend's house. Anybody do that during the week sometimes? Yeah. Hi, Georgia. Hi, Jasper. Come on up. Some people carry books or knitting to places where they may need to wait patiently. Anybody do that? Oh, I see a few people out there. And some people even have special bags to carry their pets. Anybody have that? Yeah. Oh, Julia? Okay. Oh, yeah, I guess I do for my cat. Yeah.
So I wonder sometimes, do you feel like you try to stuff a lot of things into the bag that you carry? Do you sometimes feel like you have too much stuff? It's too heavy sometimes? You put all this stuff in our bags. Well, we have something that we hope will lighten your load today. How would you like to carry with all that stuff this community's love in your bag with you? Somehow when you carry love with you, other things become a little lighter. It's like this magic that happens. So what we're going to do today is we're going to gather up all of the love and care and compassion in this community, and we're going to put it into our bags. Now, you can't hold on to love like you can hold on to a book. So what I want you all to do, everybody here, I want you to pretend like you're packing a snowball, right? So we're going to gather up all the love, and we're going to shape it into like a snowball of compassion and care. And then what I want you to do is hold that in your hands. Ready? And on the count of 3, we're going to throw it up and shower everyone around us with this. Ready? 1, 2, 3, throw it up. Woo! And you can feel it kind of coming down all around us, right?
So we've got today a little symbol of that love for you to clip on your bag to remind you that you carry the love of this community with you wherever you go. It's a little charm, and there's a heart on one side, and on the other side it says, love is at the center of you. So right now we've got the kids here, so I'm going to invite any kids, if you have your backpack or not, to come forward, and we're going to give you a charm. Just take one, not a handful.
There we go. They all say the same thing.
They all say the same, so just take one.
Want that one instead? Okay. You want to grab one, Georgia?
Georgia,
hey,
do you
Haven,
want to get one for your dad?
Haven, do you want to come get one?
Jasper, do you want to get one for your dad?
Do you want to grab one?
Okay.
There we go. Sometimes
Great.
it's very important to choose just the right one.
It is.
Yeah.
And now, do we have any teachers in the room? If we have any teachers, come on up, teachers. We want to give you some love as you go about the important work of educating learners of all ages. So any teachers, come on up. We can't get through the week without our teachers. Thank you, teachers, for all you do. And how about students of life? Lifelong learners. You're out there, aren't you?
Should we pass this around
Maybe we
and
should
let
pass
any
it
lifelong?
around
So we're
for
going to
our
start it on this side, and as we talk, we're just going to let it make its way. Oh, Janie's going to help out.
Janie's
Perfect.
going to help us pass those out to the lifelong learners. If there is, I can't believe there would be someone here who is not a lifelong learner. But if you happen to be there, you could leave the charm. I'm hoping that all of you are.
So, as we pass these charms around and as we gather up all of that love that we're going to tuck into our bags with us, we want to give you our blessing for this new school year, for this new season, a blessing for learning and exploring and trying new things, and maybe sometimes not being so great at it the first time, right? And then trying again and getting better and better with practice, so that even when you are not here at the Unitarian Society, you can carry that mission that we have out with you wherever you go, to be this loving community of people who support each other, who have wonder at the world, who try to live our best selves, and who are always ready to help out when needed. So, if you want to put your hand over your heart or hold that charm in your hand, whatever you want to do, we're going to bless it together. May you feel curiosity all of your days.
May your imagination catch fire.
May you find courage when things are difficult.
May your mistakes lead onward to discovery.
May you speak up when you notice injustice.
May you act with compassion for the earth and for all those around you.
May you feel seen and heard and respected.
May you hear, see, and respect others.
And may you know that you are loved, just and exactly as you are.
And because we are all made stronger when we share what we learn from life, we ask you to bring back what you learn here and share it with us so that we can all grow wiser together. Today is the first day of our fall Children's RE program. Let's sing our children out to begin their classes for a new year in RE.
We hold you in our love as you go, as you go. May your heart be at peace as you go. To nurture the spark of your precious life. We hold you in our love as you go.
Now, I think those charms are still going to be making their way around the sanctuary, so I'm going to embrace our collective power to help keep them moving around as we enter into these next few parts of our service. I invite you now to take another breath, another moment to settle yourself, to arrive fully to this time of meditation and prayer and reflection. To pay attention to your body in space, the shape that it occupies in the air, the way the air moves in and out, perhaps holding your hands open on your lap or your feet on the floor or against the back of the pew or the chair, wherever you find yourself. Pay attention both to your own individual self and the way that self is connected through the air that moves in and out with each breath, that connects us here under the same sky, no matter where we are, on this same earth that we share. And it is from that place of connection and interdependence that we reach out with compassion. And this morning in particular, our hearts reach out with compassion to those still in the throes of crisis from the hurricane that has devastated Florida and the East Coast all the way up through Appalachia. We hold in our hearts those who are grieving the many, many losses of life, anxious about those still unaccounted for, those who are digging out from underneath trees and mud, who are still tallying the losses. It is early still, and we know that the road to recovery from a crisis of this magnitude is long. And so we hold in our hearts that these folks, not just in this moment, but that they may be held for the long road ahead, the months and years it may take to recover. That they may feel the strength and warmth of community around them so they know they are not alone. That we lend our collective resources to this moment of need, recognizing that in a warming world, these moments are not unconnected from the actions of all of us. Knowing that as the climate crisis unfolds, it will take all of us to respond with our best selves, our most compassionate, courageous, and loving selves, not just today, but in the days to come. And so we cultivate that strength of compassion both for ourselves and so that we may be part of this resilient world, building the kind of care we hope to see flourish, so that each and every one of us can thrive, not alone, but connected in mystery and miracle to all that is. Let us enter into a time of quiet reflection together. I invite you to stay right where you are, and we're going to sing a reflective song together. It's a new song, so maybe we can listen to Heather play through it once, and then we'll sing it. Number 14 in the hymnal, "The Sun at High Noon."
The sun at high noon, the stars in dark space, the light of the moon on each upturned face, the high clouds, the rain clouds, the lark song on high, we gaze up in wonder above to the sky. The green grassy blade, the grasshopper's sound, the creatures of shade that live in the ground, the dark soil, the moist soil where plants spring to birth, we look down at wonder below in the earth. The glad joys that heal, the tears in our eyes, the longings we feel, the light of surprise, our song dreams, our daydreams, our thoughts ranging wide, we live with a whole world of wonder inside.
I have seen stars. I'm not talking about the cartoon variety that spin around when you've been bonked on the head. I'm talking about stars so bright you can read by them, the magnificent firmament of heaven. So brilliant and near, you can see the Milky Way, clearly pick out the planets and the constellations and see their journey across the night sky. Perhaps you've seen stars like this. Out in the country on a winter's evening, far from civilization, or out at sea, or in the mountains. Memorable, isn't it? Feeling incredibly small and incredibly huge at the same time. Now, the stars seem to have grown dim and more distant, and you have to go further and further afield to experience these glorious evenings and the wonder that goes along with them. I remember a night in New York City where I grew up, Christmas Eve. I was maybe 7 or 8 years old. We were leaving my grandparents' house after dinner. The air was crisp and clean. Our footsteps crunched in the snow. Above me blazed the stars, so close, I felt I could touch them. Wow, the sky was luminous. I remember this moment because it was the first time I had truly experienced the wonder of the universe. I remember a night on the edge of the Sahara in Morocco, in the village of Ouarzazate, an oasis where the caravans begin their trek across the desert. It was the early 70s and one of my first trips after college. I had some half-baked romantic notion of riding a camel to Timbuktu. There was no electricity in Ouarzazate. In those days, only candles, oil lamps, and gas lanterns. One night I wandered over some of the dunes, lay down, and melted into the sky. The ribbon of the Milky Way from horizon to horizon, and stars so bright and close, I could see their colors. But I became fearful and hurried back to town because it felt like I was losing my grip on the earth and would float away into the vastness. Some years later, I remember laying on the roof of our fishing boat in the Galapagos Islands, gazing at the nightly display. At the equator, you begin to see new constellations, and the crescent moon points directly down to the horizon. There were no earthly lights except for the glow of the plankton around the ship. The stars reflected in the calm waters. It made it seem as if we were suspended in space, stars above and stars below. Not too long ago, we were in the Grand Canyon on a 2-week rafting trip. At the river, there are no lights. Once the campfires have dwindled to embers, the canyon walls rise a mile on each side, allowing a thin strip of radiance. The rim silhouetted against the starlight. No chance there of falling into space with so many rocks around to hold on to. It is not the stars that have dimmed and receded from our sight. It is we who have dimmed our vision of the skies through the world we have created. We have traded our awe for modern convenience and simulations of nature in museums, theaters, and planetariums. So I question where our sense of wonder and awe is coming from now that the natural world is in retreat and becoming less visible as time goes on. Where are the stars of my youth? Do they exist only in the memories I've shared? And how to conclude this reflection on an upbeat and hopeful note. As I wrote this paragraph, I was stumped to how to conclude it. Then our daughter Remy and her family came down to visit just a few days ago, bringing our 16-month-old grandson Dorian along. This little guy is such a joy, a bundle of energy, infinitely curious, constantly exploring and taking things apart, mostly my stuff, I should have to say, just to see how they work. I watch him staring in wide wonder at a bee pollinating a flower, or tiny crabs feeding in a tide pool, or hawks soaring overhead, riding the wind. And he loves to share what he finds. He brought me a flattened beer can the other day with a big, big smile. And I looked at him deeply and felt that same wonder as the night I melted into the sky. Because there they were again, the stars. They were in his eyes. The stars have not dimmed. They have simply moved. We have only to change our perspective to experience them. There is an entire universe of stars within each one of us, ready to be explored and shared. Stars without, stars within. We are the inheritors of wonder and reverence for nature, passed down from the first human who looked at the heavens for revelation and guidance. We do not have to create a sense of wonder. We are born with it. Our life's work is to regain it, to retain it, and nurture it. Nurture it in ourselves and in others. At the beginning of our service, did not Julia say, we are a community that nurtures wonder? That is so true, and I'm very glad that I'm a part of it. Every week, we contribute 25% of our offering to a worthy charity. This month has been League of Women Voters, an organization that we always look to for guidance in electoral matters. Please read with me the affirmation of gratitude and giving. Let us be grateful when we are able to give, for many do not have that privilege. Let us be grateful for those who share their gifts with us, for we are enriched by their giving. Let us be grateful even for our needs, so that we may learn from the generosity of others.
Thank you, singers. So I want to start off this morning with a question. What's your sign?
Stop.
Right? How many of you know your sign? Just go ahead and raise your hand if you know your sign. If you're online, you can type it into the chat. Okay, I'm going to put your hands down. Is there anybody here who doesn't know what their sign is? So there is one person who, and I notice I didn't even say what kind of sign, right? It could be a stop sign, right? It could be a no parking sign. No, of course, I meant sign of the zodiac, right? And whether you don't read your horoscope or you read it avidly every day, whether you believe in astrology or scoff at it, it is so deeply embedded in our culture that we all learn about it one way or the other. I'm a Cancer, by the way, if that means anything to you. Any other Cancers out there? I see you. You see, whatever you actually think of astrology, we've already formed a little identity group based upon the arbitrary month we were born in the Julian calendar. But of course, astrology predates the Julian calendar. Astrology, as we're talking about it here, probably started in Mesopotamia in about the 2nd millennium BC. Babylonians were really big at the time. And their priests used the stars and planets to interpret omens that they thought might influence affairs of state. The Babylonians were the first ones to create 12 astrological signs, which later merged with 12 Greek constellations that were aligned with the orbit of the sun to give us those 12 signs of the zodiac that we are so familiar with today. And the stars were not always so much about predicting the future as interpreting the will of the gods. They were kind of conversation technology, a way human beings here on Earth could get in touch with the powers that ran the universe. Of course, it wasn't just the Babylonians and the Greeks that watched the stars for signs and signals. India and China have long astrological traditions. The Mayans referenced the stars extensively in their writings. Ancient cave art depicts figures related to constellations. For as long as human beings have been around, we have been looking to the heavens, as Peter so eloquently described, looking to the heavens for inspiration, for divination, and for guidance, as the stars proved to be reliable navigators of both space and time. As we sang earlier in the service in Blue Boat Home, making our way by the lights of the heavens. We've been doing that our whole human history. Interest in astrology waxed and waned like the moon. There's all kinds of great astrological metaphors we can find. From place to place and century to century. And here in the United States, it wasn't until newspapers started publishing weekly horoscopes into the 1930s that it really took off here. But ever since then, this has become part of our common culture. Perhaps one of the few shared touchstones we still have in our culture that cuts across lines of geography or economy. We've all read our horoscopes at one point or another. We are fascinated by the stars. And as our human understanding grew with time, the observance of celestial signs and omens gave rise to the science of astronomy, moving away from the idea of stars as divine oracles to the more concrete, observable aspects of the universe beyond our Earth's atmosphere. The Unitarian Universalist faith tradition has a long and proud history of embracing scientific exploration as a way of expressing our love for this world we share, those values of curiosity and wonder that are a core part of our religious life. It's right there in the mission statement of this congregation, as Peter pointed out, that we seek out these experiences of awe that crack open our hearts and our minds and remind us to stay questioning and curious whether we're 8 or 80. So we have a fair share of astronomers in the history of our faith tradition. I wanted to lift up a few of those folks who were inspired by our stars. Maria Mitchell. How many of you have heard of Mitchell's comet? A few folks have heard of Maria Mitchell. The first woman astronomer in the United States. She became internationally famous when she discovered that comet in 1847. And she invited fellow Unitarians such as Ralph Waldo Emerson and Theodore Parker to her rooftop observatory. In 1925, the first person to receive a PhD in the newly created field of astronomy for her discovery that hydrogen was the building block of the universe was the brilliant Dr. Cecilia Payne-Gaposchkin, the first woman to receive tenure at Harvard and who also taught Sunday school at the Unitarian Church in Lexington, Massachusetts. Astronomer Clyde Tombaugh discovered Pluto and also helped found the Unitarian Universalist Church of Las Cruces, New Mexico. And how many of you love the beautiful photos from the Hubble and Webb space telescopes, right? Well, the Hubble telescope, probably the most famous, you can thank Dr. Nancy Grace Roman, who was NASA's chief astronomer from 1859 to 1979, 20 years, who helped design it and secure funding for the Hubble telescope, and who also taught Sunday school at a Unitarian Universalist congregation in Maryland. I mentioned these scientists, many of them women who overcame significant obstacles in their field, because they underscore that interconnection between faith and wonder. Our willingness to question and explore and be open to new inspirations and ideas, not just in matters of religion, but in all things. These scientists did not see a contradiction between their faith and their religion. When asked about her beliefs, Dr. Roman said in an interview with the UU World magazine in 2011, "I decided I did not believe in a God in a human image, but I did believe in God. When I say I believe in God, it's a recognition that the universe is bigger than the earth. I also can't accept man as the top of the universe." She went on to say, "I think the fact that my willingness to buck tradition, especially when people told me science was not a role for women, as they often did when I was young, may have been influenced by the fact that I had been brought up to think away from tradition. Unitarianism got me thinking independently." I think I've mentioned in previous sermons that one of my first career goals from the time I first saw Cosmos on PBS was to be an astronaut. I haven't made it to space yet, but I haven't ever stopped looking up in wonder at that vastness around us, feeling how it is intimately connected to that vastness right here inside of us. After all, the iron in our blood, the very iron that courses through us, it was formed in distant, long ago supernovas. And what could be more amazing and wonderful than that? As Carl Sagan put it, the cosmos is within us. We are made of star stuff. We are a way for the universe to know itself. We are the way the universe knows itself. This summer, I spent some time thinking about this love of stars that has accompanied me my whole life and what it has taught me beyond just that origin feeling of awe and wonder and beauty that we've talked about. If stargazing is a spiritual practice, as I know it is for many of us, and if I consider the images from the Hubble and Webb telescopes to be a kind of sacred text, what transforms within us through this practice of looking up and out at the universe on a regular basis? And upon reflection, one of the most wonderful things that this practice has done for me is not just that feeling of wonder, not just staying connected to that childlike sense of awe that is inborn within each of us, but it's also the way that the stars have taught me about the dance between stability and change. On one hand, the stars and the planets and those beautiful images of nebula have mirrored back to me the steadfast, fundamental reliability of the universe. It's always there, folks. It just keeps existing. Provided for me what the theologian Paul Tillich might have referred to as the ground of being. A sense of ongoing presence, being part of something vast that started long before I was born and will continue long after I'm gone. The stars put things into perspective. There's something very reassuring to me about the night sky. Whatever troubles and wars and suffering we find here on earth, there is still something larger yet. But on the other hand, the sky is incredibly dynamic. It is always in motion. It is always ready to surprise you. There are all kinds of things whizzing about at tremendous speed right this very moment all around us. Things banging into each other and exploding. Black holes gobbling up everything, star nurseries birthing balls of flames as we sit here. Things falling into orbits, falling out of orbits. And we get a tiny feeling, this inkling of this dynamism, this dynamic change when we see a shooting star. Everybody make the noise you make when you see a shooting star. Right? It's like this little jolt of electricity when you see that. It's like a sudden little blessing, as if the universe has chosen you just for a flash to bear witness. It has taught me that just because you can't see it doesn't mean that change and transformation isn't happening all the time around you. And did you know that as of today, the 29th of September, the Earth is going to have an extra moon for a little bit? Have some of you seen that? Right? This little asteroid, it's about 33 feet, not that big, but it's been pulled into the orbit of the Earth, and for the next 2 months, we'll have this little extra mini moon orbiting our planet. You can't see it with your eyes. You have to have a professional telescope, but it's there. Like this partner in a cosmic swing dance that we've grabbed for a few minutes on the dance floor before they spin off to the next partner. But there's this other astronomical event that I want to highlight, which inspired this sermon in the first place when I learned that it was going to happen. And for this one, we don't need a telescope. Because any day now, scientists predict that a new star is going to appear in the sky, a guest star. About as bright as the North Star, possibly a little bit brighter. It'll appear in the constellation Corona Borealis, which I had to look up. It's not one of the ones I'm familiar with, but it's just to the west of the Big Dipper. And it's not a star, actually, that we'll be seeing, but a nova, 2,630 light years away. When the hydrogen on the surface of a white dwarf star ignites and gives off so much energy that we will be able to see it for about a week in the night sky before it disappears again. Apparently, this particular star does this about every 80 years. Who knew? Well, some people did, obviously, because they've given us warning. But this really is a once-in-a-lifetime event. Now, this is not a supernova, which is what happens when a star explodes. But it's this kind of runaway nuclear reaction that happens every so often. And astronomers and physicists have figured out that it should be showing up any day now in our night sky. But even though they are really smart, they don't know everything. So they can't say exactly when it will happen. And they rely on this global network of constant observation by telescopes and amateur stargazers who are all, of course, hoping to be the first one to make that sound that you all just made, right? To exclaim, oh, look, the nova, it's appeared. The new star is in the sky. And perhaps we will follow their pointing fingers and see this guest star for ourselves. This celestial event reminding us that something important is always happening. Some bright burst of energy is always just on the verge of appearing if we take the time to notice.
Negative test result.
It reminds me of this poem by Ada Limon titled Dead Stars. It's almost romantic as we adjust the waxy blue recycling bin until you say, man, we really should learn some new constellations. And it's true. We keep forgetting about Antilla, Centaurus, Draco, Lacerta, Hydra, Lyra, Lynx. But mostly we're forgetting that we're dead stars too. My mouth is full of dust and I wish to reclaim the rising, to lean in the spotlight of the streetlight with you towards what's larger within us, toward how we were born. Look, we are not unspectacular things. We've come this far, survived this much. What would happen if we decided to survive more, to love harder? What if we stood up with our synapses and flesh and said, no, no to the rising tides, stood for the many mute mouths of the sea, of the land? What would happen if we used our bodies to bargain for the safety of others, for Earth, if we declared a clean night? If we stopped being terrified? If we launched our demands into the sky? Made ourselves so big, people could point to us with the arrows they make in their minds, rolling their trash bins out after all of this is over. Limon charges us to be inspired by the stars in our bones, to not be afraid, to be as big as an interstellar explosion, to reclaim that stardust inside of ourselves and to lean into that feeling of rising. That feeling we get when we look up and suddenly catch the glory of the night sky on a mundane evening as we take out the recycling. Reminding us that we are not just hapless humans stumbling about in the dark, but we are something with an arc, a gravity, a story, a constellation and a community. The distance between us does not keep us from exerting a pull on each other, a distant star and the iron in our blood, forged from the same supernova that happened so long ago, my mind turns to jelly at the thought of it. We may think the stars are steady, but they remind us, even in the slow, reliable rotation of the constellations, that new things are born all the time, even in the narrow spaces and the intractable places and the human habits of hurt and violence. Something new can happen. So let yourself look up. Let yourself be filled and thrilled with wonder, and pay attention, because the stars do tell our future. Not perhaps with the specificity that we might like, but they reveal something that in our despair sometimes we forget. We are not unspectacular things, and the universe is alive with possibility. Stardust is in our blood, and wonders never cease. May it be so. Blessed be, and amen. Let us sing together once more. Rise in body and spirit. Lean into that rising, folks. And let us sing Rising Green, number 1068 in the teal hymnal, or the words are on your screen.
My blood doth rise in the roots of yon oak, Her sap doth run in my veins, boundless my soul, like the open sky, where the stars forever have lain. Where the stars, where the stars, where the stars forever have lain. My hands hold the weavings of time without end, my sight as deep as the sea. Beating my heart sounds the measures of old, that of love's eternity. That of love, that of love, that of love's eternity. I feel the tides as they answer the moon, rushing on a far distant sound. Winging my song is the wind of my breast, and my love blows over the land. And my love, and my love, and my love blows over the land. My foot carries days of the old into new. Our dreaming shows us the way. Wondrous our faith settles deep in the earth, rising green to bring a new day. Rising green, rising green, rising green to bring a new day.
So stay right where you are, and if you would like to and have permission to, hold hands with the person next to you, or if you'd prefer to just put your hands over your heart or hold them open, however it is you get connected wherever you are, however it is that you feel that rising sense that moves through us and within us and beyond us. And as you go out into this beautiful and heartbreaking world, may the light of love shine upon you, out from within you, be gracious unto you, and bring you peace. For this is the day we are given. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Let us call out a blessing.
Call out a blessing, call out a blessing, call